bounce track to new place. Now this one's very clutch, and this is something that I recommend you guys do a lot. When you have a song like this, and let's say that you're trying to create some ear candy for it. Let's say that I decide to grab the moan, and what I can do now is use plugins or a combination of Ableton effects in order to create some ear candy out of that sound. Infiltrator is one of my favorite plugins that I like to use. It does some gnarly stuff. So now what I can do is I can highlight this section, right click, and bounce to new track. No pun intended with the song, which is called bounce to be fair, but now I can do that. It's going to bounce it down for me, bring it down, just this highlighted area, and I'm going to have this at the bottom. Add it somewhere for ear candy, right? Like, let's say that I follow the idea here that I did for the snares, accenting them on the fourth hit. I have this. The next big thing too is the auto filter. I'm actually going to end up using it now because usually I'll use the EQ, you know, and do like, you know, cuts like this for like the track or like, you know, some sweeps and stuff. But now the new auto filter just looks so nice that you just want to touch it, right? You just want to point your finger at it. And if you have a touchscreen Mac then, or a touchscreen computer, man, hey, first off, we can now see where the LFO is in correlation to what's going on in the song. So if I'm playing the song, I can see what it's doing. Different filters, like pretty much the DJ filter. You can do this really cool effect where it feels like you're sucking everything in. And then we have a comb filter now, so we can be like dubsteppy. Add some movement. You know, make it sound more expensive, high tech. Sounds like a big crusher and sounds like a sample and hold, almost like the sample and hold filter inside of Serum 2. We're also going to have a notch and low pass, which is welcomed. And then the morph allows you to control the position of that notch. Super cool. You know, for instance, one of the sounds that I remade for the Paradox series back then needed a notch because Enrico Sangliano, one of the best producers of all time in techno, uses the notch to create these really cool effects in some of his tracks like Moon Rocks and you know, that era of the Enrico tracks that he had. So, you know, it makes it sound very... And finally, we have a vowel filter, especially with like a sample and hold type of LFO. It's super cool for adding tone, and then you can also put it before distortion and do really cool stuff with that to do a bit of pre-filtering, deep sucking sounds with it. Then the sidechain feature, I believe, works in correlation with the envelope. It will activate that envelope, so if I wanted to have the kick dictate the movement. And then from there, we have the drive, so we can apply some saturation to the signal as we drive the signal harder into the auto filter. And then we're going to have 4 different algorithms, which I believe they've always been there. It's just, again, back then, the way the auto filter looked, it never made me want to switch the modes to MS2, DFM, SBF, PRD, whatever that means. Sounds like ecstasy pills or some shit. But so another cool thing that has been introduced is Expressive Chords. Now, by itself, Expressive Chords just seems to be a pack full of chords that don't really care what key you're in. Sound very jazzy. On the keyboard, if you play a low C and then you go to a really high C, you don't really jump octaves. You're pretty much just shooting off chords that have been pretty much put into this thing. You can also strum, because that's like the thing, like, you know, the little flares. Send me out of key. I get over you. You know, you get this nice little... But the way that I personally like to use it is by using a scale feature right next to it, putting the scale, obviously, that I'm in for the song, and then just jamming out some chords. at this and making sure the bass is hitting, you know, the note of the skate chord. And we get something really nice. Ooh, what? Look at that. It's a little better. The browser has also gotten some major improvements. I think one of my favorite ones is by right-clicking here and showing rank. It shows you which of the keys you've used the most here. So for instance, for techno, this is my most used kick as of the moment for this pack, followed by all of these, and I haven't even touched these guys. So ideally, I would want to use the top one if I keep using. Also based on this, let's say that I have this here, and I don't have it synced up properly with tags. For instance, let's say the techno one was in here. I can always add it now, techno. So that way, when I go to the browser, I can hit techno, and it's going to show me all the techno samples that I have. And obviously, I can get more specific, like techno bass, leads, pads, and so forth. For instance, here, if I get rid of the pad, and let's say that I find that one of them is missing from the atmospheres. For instance, this one has the atmosphere tag here, but if I want to add pad, I can add it easily. And there we go. I can also create new ones if I wanted to by opening up the tag editor. And from there, let's say that I want to add one for bass lines that says rumble, because the style of music I make utilizes a lot of rumbles. Right click, add a subtag, call it rumbles. Now we have the rumbles feature. So now I can go to the bass group where the rumbles are located, tag them all, and when I add rumble, it should pop up. So now I have that added. So now I can close this guy. There we go, I can go bass, and now under bass, rumbles. And we're gonna have those here. So now if I wanted to rock that, the resonator can now also be put to be in correlation and in sync with the key that you decide to put here. So for instance, if I'm gonna be in the key of, let's say G minor for this, then I can set that up. Say I have this. For some reason, I want to add a resonator that's going to be in tune with that. So next time you get into an Ableton sesh, hopefully you use some of the techniques that we talked about, and maybe you organize your sample pack library so that you can make music faster and better, because at the end of the day, my goal is to help as many of you guys make music that you can play out when you DJ. One of the most rewarding feelings ever. And with that being said, you guys take care and you guys have a great rest of your day.